So
the approach I'm going to take is I'll go to the sheriff's office to get any information that they've heard.
that changes things.
I will also ask if there have been any deaths related to him, or that's they suspected, and if there is, I would ask to see the body and you speak with them.
Okay. Okay. Just give me a charisma check on that one.
That is an 18.
Okay. 18, so I assume you've altered your form so you're less horrific?
Yes.
Okay. You head on over to the sheriff's office. The sheriff himself is busy, but when you make it clear that you're looking for information on Jebediah, one of the deputies is willing to give you a hand. A younger mouse folk dude says, so what is it that you're looking for specifically?
Any possible sightings of Jebediah or your latest lead?
Latest confirmed sighting we had on him was him going out of town. He dislocated some dwarf gentleman's jaw on his way out the front gates. And the thing is he's got something of a longish history of working with smugglers and the like in the area. So it wouldn't surprise me if he's aware of a local bolt hole that he can slip away to. Thing is don't get me wrong, like nobody's died in the process of this. Some people have gotten quite beaten up. And considering the current situation, and the simple fact of the matter is we can't afford to offend any of our visiting traders with the worry that their men are going to get arrested left and right. So unless he commits a serious crime, then he's just going to have to pay the fine and then he can walk. Problem is he has a bit of a history of skirting the law, so some of his fines, his fine will be greater than the norm, and in addition, he kind of slipped out of town without paying a couple of other minor fines before, and we didn't have him locked down, so we didn't have him in on these fines. What I would say is if you've got some folk with some good local knowledge you can check in with, looking for some bolt holes away from the shore, I would guess, but I don't know. And looking for ways that he can get himself fed and kept fairly comfortable. He is a sailor. He's not exactly a countryman, if you know what I mean. He's going to be wanting some of his indulgences. Let's see, anything else I can offer to help you? Like I said, like the bounty says, we want him back alive. We don't want him dead over a silly bar fight. But anything else I can do for you?
The bounty's still 5,000, right?
Yes, that is the bounty at Stanley.
Are there any other bounties currently?
Well, there's still the bounty on that sea creature. Things are in a bit of a kerfuffle right now, so we aren't set on what day that we're going out to deal with it. If you're aware of anyone that's an expert in dealing with various monstrosities of the deeps, we would appreciate it.
And what is the price on that bounty?
Well, right now we're getting that nailed down. We're thinking it's probably going to be about 1,000 gold per participant, because this is going to be a hunting party. It's not going to be just a standard bounty. We don't want to be sending people to their inevitable dooms here now, do we?
Okay.
So it's a little bit up in the air, but it's looking at probably about 1,000 gold ahead.
When do you think you'll know the day of when the hunting party is going out? Because I believe, I know I would love to join, and I believe some of my compatriots would too.
Ultimately, that just depends upon when we get the personnel. Right now, people are still up in the kerfuffle about all the refugees that are pouring in, and about that race, that big upset. It's throwing all the dock folk into just a bit of a tizzy.
I heard about that.
And then there was this lady that apparently got really sick out on the dock, so like people are just bad
dock
things
is
going on.
not a good place to be.
Yeah, crazy stuff. A lot of people lost money on that race, including the sheriff. Did you know that?
Oh.
I mean, he doesn't want to limit it too loud, but maybe there's a reason that it isn't so regulated yet, you know. And not that I'm saying that he's dirty, just that he's got his sport that he enjoys, you know.
It's always good to have something to enjoy.
Yeah. Anyhow, not important. Don't spread that around, please. I probably shouldn't have. Anyway, But anything else I can help you with? Oh yes, that's right. What I was saying is, it largely depends upon when we get the folk we need. Like, it may be that tomorrow a group of able-bodied fish folk walk in and say, "Where are your beastie hunters?" And then we go out and we do it the next day.
How many people are you looking for?
We don't have a fixed head count. It's more of just a group that seems robust enough in number and capacity.
If I brought 7, do you think?
That would depend upon their skill set, but it seems like it'd be a pretty beastly number.
You know those constructs that went haywire the other day?
I did hear something about that. Shame. It came through a couple of years ago, and it was a lovely show.
Well, these 7 people are the ones that took care of it, so.
Oh, intriguing. So they're construct disposal experts. Do you think they've got a lot of cross-training in the beasts of the deeps sort of fields?
I wouldn't even say that they're trained in taking care of constructs. They're just trained in taking care of stuff.
Interesting. Okay. Well, we'll see how the interviews go. But yeah, we'd be happy to have them around.
Okay, I'll
Don't call us, we'll call you.
I'll round them up and
Actually, he said, please call us, because we can't call you.
when I have them all together, I'll bring them by.
Sounds good. You just bring them by, and we'll be happy to have a chat with them, establish their credentials as hunters of beasts of the deeps, so as that we can go get this thing set.
Awesome.
Thank you very much. Now, it has been a lovely time talking with you. My name's Virgil.
What was that?
Virgil.
Virgil? Zotan.
Zotan. Pleasure to meet you. Zotan. That name's got a ring to it, really. Anyway, you have a lovely day.
You too. And I walk in.
What a happy guy.
Virgil, the halfling sheriff's deputy. Anyway.
He's gonna die. Yep, probably. In the beast hunt. Yeah. We're gonna watch him get eaten by a kraken.
I was gonna say something happy 1 second. He's like,
Zotan, help me!
he's like, I'm waiting to get back to my family back.
I'm 2 days from retirement.
Okay, Remy.
All right. Step 1. Finish enchanting my shield.
Ooh. You get it done?
Yep.
Cool.
What?
It is about friggin' time.
You have a +1 shield.
Woo! Step 2. I'm going.
How much time did that take you at that point?
So it took me 2 more days.
Okay.
Step 2. I need to figure out.
Also, you have still some more time in that week. I'll be coming back to you.
Do I have the skills to enchant a robe of useful items?
That'd be fun.
No. You need some of the spells that are able to create inanimate objects. I don't think you have them.
Okay. Do I have the skills to create a bag of tricks in robe form?
Yeah, but it's gonna no. You need one more level.
1 more level.
You need to be able to cast conjure beasts or whatever it's called.
So I do have.
I mean the 3rd level version, the one that lets you summon a group of beasts.
Do I have summon beasts?
No,
Okay. In that case,
he could do it, but such is the price you pay for super healing.
okay. In that case, after I finish my shield, I am going to go to the Villingen?
The Albert Villingen.
I'm going to go to
Prison?
his
Cell?
staff,
Oh.
Okay.
and I'm going to start doing some forensic accounting.
Okay.
Detective Remy.
The gnomes?
Yeah, the techno sorcery
And
troop.
straight up, I honestly probably would have grabbed you and taken you over there. Cause,
What day is this?
Day 1.
This is day 3.
The next day. Oh.
Took
well,
him 2 days to finish and
I
check.
was thinking the next day. Oh,
but
that's
that's an 8-hour thing.
True.
8
Okay.
hours
She'll
per
go
day.
with you.
So
if
you
ask
could, you
her.
could go on
Yeah.
day 2 then.
Yeah, because I'd ask you to go with me because, mage and stuff.
Sure.
Okay.
So, what I'm doing is I have a list of things that people would need, according to Mr. Villingen, to have sabotaged these things.
Okay.
Namely, they would have had to have access to blueprints,
Okay.
as well as access to the prototypes.
Mhm.
They would have needed to know...
It's blueprints. No, they still would have needed access to the prototypes to mess with them, but they either needed to have enough time with the prototypes to be able to figure it out, or time with the blueprints and then some time with the prototypes. But yes.
They would have needed enough knowledge to know at least how the core works. And they would have needed the other two things, like, understanding how to use the system for the gems and knowing that this is it was an act of skill, but it was still crude. That kind of comes more from, judge of character. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just straight up ask, a group, a few of the people that worked with him, who had access to the blueprints, who had access to the prototype.
Okay.
And I'm going to create, these two lists, cross-reference them.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to take those names. I'm going to figure out, what those people are, what their skill set is, and figure out and kind of. I'm hoping to use a little bit of insight to know if they would have had knowledge of the core, or arcane skill, but still, being crude.
I'm drawing up the Excel sheet.
Okay. Okay. So you go back to his troop, as it were, his troop of techno sorcerers, and they're totally not. They're artificers. But anyway, there's probably like one in there that's a wizard or a wizard artificer. But
Do they DJ on the weekends?
they do not. They have constructs for that. But you go there, and when you get there, you're just met with this like air of just failure, of depression, of giving up, sort of a thing. The half-orc woman that was running one of the displays when you shows up, she comes over and says, "Can I help you? My name's Vanessa Villingen."
Villingen?
Yeah.
Are you related to Mr. Villingen?
Yeah, he's my dad.
Oh. She's a half-orc?
Mm-hmm. Half gnome, half orc.
That honestly sounds like so cute.
We have great news.
Well, I mean, it's also a little sad because orcs have slightly less than human lifespans and gnomes have much more. But anyway.
Yeah. We have great news. We are here to help.
What?
So, your dad...
Wait a minute, weren't you the two that took down weren't you part of the group that took down the Ironbacks?
Uh-huh.
You were like under the stage chucking out bolts of ice, and you were like, you called in that like cloudy stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember you two. Yeah.
Yeah, so what we're trying to do is we're trying to clear your dad's name.
That would be lovely if you could do it.
Did you by chance see the cores of the Ironbacks after the incident?
No, I did hear a description from others that were there, though.
Yeah. Because they clearly had been tampered with. Like,
That's what they were saying.
we don't think that your dad did this intentionally. He doesn't seem like the kind of, I want to kill a bunch of people at a fair kind of guy.
Besides, what would it achieve? These Veil folk, they're so short-sighted. They just see artificers and think mad wizards creating monsters in the night with stitches in their necks or whatever.
Yeah, you're not kidding. But I mean, when I pull my hat out of the bag of holding, but look at this thing.
That's where it went. We're going to be wanting that back, by the way.
Yeah.
Incidentally, do you know any idea what happened to the auto-reciprocating saw?
No.
Deception check.
Oh no.
10.
10?
Well, 12, 13.
13? What did you get?
Not that good.
No.
7?
So, she has +1 to insight and rolled an 8.
No! Inspiration!
Use it.
You're gonna do it?
I can't afford to be on this person's bad side right now.
What did you get that inspiration from?
Wait,
Like
don't waste your inspiration. 16.
Can you do that after he's rolled?
He hasn't rolled yet.
But
I have
he
to use
rolled.
my inspiration to...
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I meant for the inspiration. That's not a roll.
So
Oh,
you still
I
have
got
to
it
use
from
the
when we
inspiration.
resurrected Vanya.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So, are you going to force him to roll a 16?
That's much better.
No.
It is.
Michael, in the future, when I ask that question,
19.
don't roll yes.
I forced it.
Okay.
Next time, bring me with you after +7.
Okay.
19.
Hey, if you're,
okay.
if you're playing with a divination wizard, make eye contact before you roll anything.
You're like about to be shifty, like, no, looking down at your bag of holding, and then you just remember, no, you're the one that helped bring back Vanya. You got this. And then you just look her square in the eyes and say, why no? Anyway,
But I mean, this thing is really cool.
friggin' looters. Anyway, yeah, it's cool. You can drink standing on your head. It's a lovely system.
But anyway,
Really quick, I want to say to Remy telepathically, I was like, do you think she's
She can still do that.
Ow. Do you think she had something to do with this, or do you think she's being genuine?
This is a
We'll
good time
find
of
out.
adding you today.
Okay. So what we're
that's a
what
good
we're
point. I'm gonna actually, now that she brings that up, I'm gonna insight her. Does she seem like she's actually relieved that we're here to try and clear her dad's name?
Go for it.
Oh boy. 17 still.
17.
That's why I asked you that instead of rolling insight myself.
Lex knows the ways. Anyway,
I have a +8.
so she seems not so much relieved, so much as like, yeah, you're gonna help. That's great. Some randos that, granted, know their way around a fight are gonna somehow clear my dad's name, sort of a thing, is the impression you're getting.
Okay. So, basically, we're gonna do some, what my grandfather calls forensic accounting.
Forensic. That's got a draconic root. Interesting. Okay. Interesting idea.
So, what I'm gonna do is
I assume forensic has a Latin root, but anyway.
I'm gonna create a list, two different lists actually, of names.
Mm-hmm.
Because your father told me, these are some of the, here are some of the necessities that someone would have had to have in order to tamper with these things as they did. So I'm going to create a list of names.
Mm-hmm.
I need the names of the people who had access to the prototypes, as well as the names of the people who had access to the blueprints.
It's like, okay, if my dad said to do this, I'll help you. So over the course of the rest of this day, she goes through a list and puts together, goes through the lists of people and puts together the lists of people that could have had the information, and it's pretty much limited to the members of the troop themselves, their assistants, and anyone that would have had access to the buildings that they were renting.
Cross-referencing those two things, does that narrow it down at all? Cross-referencing who would have had access, as well as who would have had access, cross-referencing who would have had access to the constructs as well as the blueprints. Does that narrow it down at all?
Okay, whichever of you desire, give me an intelligence check with advantage.
That's probably
Yep,
me,
I'm
but
detecting, yep.
has this been enough days that all of my exhaustion is gone?
I think this would be. You said it would be on the second day?
Yeah.
Then you would still have one level left.
That's okay. You said intelligence check? I'll just use one of my portents for that for 21.
21? Okay. Okay, so you're cross-referencing those that would have had access to the blueprints versus those that would have had access to the prototypes. Honestly, the list doesn't change much.
Okay.
Cross-referencing those two, it cuts out the assistants because the assistants would not have had access to the prototypes. And something that Vanessa will point out is that pretty much anybody that had access to the structure had access to the prototypes, but only herself, when she was acting as an assistant for her dad, and her dad were allowed to have more than just being in the presence of access to the prototypes. So whoever did this, because none of the people here remember, did it without being spotted by the people in the troop, assuming that everybody involved is telling the truth. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So nobody was allowed to mess with the prototypes except for Albert and his daughter.
So whoever messed with them, I mean, obviously they did it, clandestine.
Yeah.
If only I could cast a double spell.
Okay.
But you get second level spells.
Who was there anyone else other than your dad who did any theoretical work with the core?
No, not that did theoretical work with the core. He took from others' theoretical work. I don't know if you mentioned, but we took some inspiration from the dwarves' creation of the Warforged. But what we're doing is a lot simpler than what they were doing. This is relatively basic construct theory as far as how the core modifies behavior and controls behavior. What's more unique is how the core is powered.
So, I guess that brings up two things. Do you have anybody from your troop who, has extensive knowledge of dwarven constructs? And number two, is there anyone else who worked very close with the powering system?
She says, now, the powering system was the truly unique thing, and only me and Dad really knew how it worked. It's pretty simple, honestly, in concept and execution. In fact, I think it's because it's so simple that nobody's messed with it before. But, no, the theory, again, is not really the hard part here. And, honestly, my dad is capable of making much more complicated constructs as far as the actual instruction enchantments on the core goes. These were supposed to be basic, or at least relatively basic, physically impressive and demonstration of a concept. They were, in every way, a prototype. Again, there's nothing unique about the runic inscriptions on the core.
What about, so, I'm sorry if this is a little proprietary, but when we opened it up, your dad seemed to be really confused by the presence of coal in the power system.
He would not have been confused by that. You're misremembering this.
Oh.
You bring up the presence of coal?
So, when your father, he opened it up in front of us, and I'm sorry if this is proprietary, I don't have any intention of selling this kind of information, but he, there was coal inside.
And then she kind of looks around and pulls you away from anybody else, and she says, "Okay, continue."
Do you have anybody that you work with who's particularly skilled with geology?
I mean, there's a few of us that are skilled metallurgists and smiths. I honestly did most of the forging for the housing around the core myself. The thing is with all of this is honestly any of us had the skill to do what was done. Any one of us, even the apprentices, could have done it. And most of us had access to an extent. The question is, why would any of us do it?
Do you know of anyone who could stand to benefit from your father being from jail, or benefit from staying in Porto?
She says, "Well, I mean, he's got competitors. Maybe somebody from the outside. I mean, there are other artificers, both amongst the dwarves and back in the Alliance, that would stand to benefit from seeing my father thrown off his high horse, so to speak. But maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's old Gregory or one of his bunch. I have to give it some thought.
Any in the immediate area, or
no?
see?
I mean, no offense. You're obviously half halfling. You're obviously halfling. Vale's not exactly much of competition when it comes to the techno sorceries.
You're not wrong.
Now, if somebody were to come here following us, that could make some sense.
When's the last time you saw any of old Gregory's bunch?
Well, I mean, they're mostly stationed in the Iron Alliance. Most of them, mix of gnomes, humans, dwarves, even a few gnolls. Just the other competitors in the field.
Have you found any evidence that someone broke into the barn that these were being kept in?
Well, I mean, it's a barn. It's not that hard to break into.
Yeah.
We have looked for that. Honestly, especially with the sheriff coming and trampling through the area, checking out everything, we couldn't tell. But I mean, again, like even as far as Gregory goes, this is really crude. If Gregory or his bunch were to try and mess with my dad, I would think that they would try and hide it better. This is really obvious. This is obvious tampering to anyone that knows anything. Which, no offense, but this is why my dad is still in jail. Is because people around here don't know about this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is really crude work. Like, as soon as they bring in an expert to look at this, as much as it might reveal some things I'd rather not, they're gonna know that somebody did this to my dad.
Can I investigate for further tampering? Like anything that I might have missed?
Go for it.
Right.
I say that and she says that, so.
Okay. Man, I think we need all like the help we can get. So I'm going to use my other important to investigation. You said.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, where are you? Sorry, my.
This is going to be a really gross number, I just want you to know.
So you saw her roll her portents?
I saw her portents.
Did you see me roll them though? I want to know that it's really just luck. Investigation 28.
20.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything to help with the case.
With that roll,
Pulling out the big guns.
After looking around for a little while, looking at some of the other constructs, nothing's really standing out as far as that goes. You start looking around, and then you notice that at the back of the barn, there's a place. You notice this quite accidentally. You're looking around for a few hours, checking stuff out, and then you just happen to lean against this one section of the barn. And when you lean back, you kind of like lose your balance a little bit and slip a little bit, and you push your foot back, and a section of the lower portion of the barn swings out.
Okay.
And you look at it, and it just looks like kind of nasty, not nasty, kind of decrepit barn. But you look at it a little bit closer, and the portions of these board have been pried out. And you look at it, and it was done intentionally. Looking at it, you can see what looks like probably somebody wedged a pipe or something in there and pried it out. Again, pretty crude. And when you push against it, it's not even big enough for you to fit through.
Okay. So that could probably be like a mouse folk or.
Mouse folks are about the same size as halflings.
Oh, okay. So for me, my benefit, what would be smaller than me?
There are some smaller races, none of them that are prominent though, but I mean, give me an intelligence check.
Okay.
Can I put my head together with hers to...
16.
16? So you're giving her advantage, is that what you're saying?
Oh, well, 16.
Okay, 16. I mean, this looks like it would be big enough for like a halfling child.
Or a tiny kobold.
Anyone in the any kobolds or any halfling children that we've seen that seems suspicious? I know that you've said that there were like.
There were
Oh,
a
the
bunch of
halfling
halfling
children.
children around the fair.
Let's go talk to them.
Okay, we're gonna pause there. Vice!
Alright. It'd be nice if Vice like fell into his ring and the ring just fell down the hole all the way down to where I am.
Would there be another place in Porto other than that safe house that I could find Night Eye? Or with Night Eye and the safe house not being safe, is that something that I would absolutely not go looking for, or
Your first instinct would probably be to hide, but you're in kind of, not desperate, but like not great straits.
yeah, I'm
as far
starting
as
to get there.
Yeah.
I'm starting to feel the
So
desperation.
like, I would say that your first instinct would probably be to look into the Tide Vermin community, as he was a notable shaman in the Tide Vermin community.
Okay, that's That was my next question. Is that
In fact,
that
let me
kind
check
of
something
TV?
really quick. Objections. I'll just look. You would know that he had connections to the Shatterhole clan syndicate.
Shatterhole Clan Syndicate? Sorry, I'm trying to pull up my notes so I can
Return to monkey.
put that down. Okay. So
Sitting here scratching himself.
I was mimicking him. Monkey see, monkey do.
Okay.
So do they have some sort of safe house or a place that they
You-
would hang?
You don't know a lot about the Shatterhole clan themselves, but you could look into it.
Okay.
Your first instinct, in all honesty, would probably to check in with Slick Henry.
Okay. That's actually what I was gonna go do is go check in with Slick Henry.
Okay.
But yeah, let's just go do that.
So you go over to Peg-Leg and Hook Racing, her little, well, not little, her business, and you get in, and there's still lots of talk about the race, how it was such an upset, etc. People are like, I made so much money. Don't lie to me. I know you knew you were betting on the favorite, etc. As you're coming in, and you head back to her office, and where once it was just a door. Now there is a rather large, gruff-looking, very decorated like a pirate warforged standing there. He has like a thin cloth tied over one eye, but you can see the faint glow of the eye through the cloth. He's like very dressed to be pirate. You come walking up, and his right hand folds in, and a short sword folds out where the hand is, and he says, "Hold there, stranger. What business do you have with the lady?"
Just tell her Vice is here.
He leans back, pounds on the door. "Fellow named Vice says he's here to see you." And then you hear it's definitely her voice, but she sounds different. Calls back out, "Let him in."
All right, I'm gonna go in.
Okay, so you walk in, and you're immediately made aware of the fact that this room is kept much darker than it was. It has almost kind of a noir vibe, like the shades are pulled. There's just a little bit of light soaking through. There's a smoking pipe sitting in a bowl on her desk, and she's reclined back with her feet kicked up on her table. Immediately, you're going to note that she looks different. She looks a lot thinner than she was, a little unhealthy, even, and she has white streaks in her hair that were not there
How long's
before.
it been?
It's been like what, a few days at this point.
Does the Warforged walk out and close the door behind us? It's just us two.
No, he starts to come in with you, and then she says, "Spike, you can stay out." And he nods and gives you a look like you mess with her, I'm going to rip your face off. Then steps out and closes the door behind her.
Would I be familiar of why this would be happening, or just no clue?
You have no idea.
Okay.
She was fine when you saw her just a couple of days ago.
I'm gonna go look at Slick and go look around.
She says it's funny how fickle fate can be.
What is going on?
Well, I mean, we had just won the race. It seemed like everything was on the up and up. And then suddenly it struck me that none of it matters. No.
None of what matters.
None of it matters, anything. And she leans forward into the light and looks up at you, and you are immediately alarmed to recognize that where her eyes were once normal, her pupils have been replaced with icons that you recognize from the door to the vault that you found the tablet in.
Oh, fascinating.
They're both the same icon. They're both a symbol for forbiddenisms, which meant it is the concept embodying knowledge that is dangerous, or knowledge that is forbidden, knowledge that shouldn't be known. She looks forward and says, "Do you have any idea how liberating it is to know that none of it matters?"
What do you mean none of it matters?
Nothing. You could stab me through the throat now and it wouldn't matter. You're just going to be dead in a few decades anyway. None of it matters. It was terrifying at first, but it's changed everything.
Your cosmic sugar daddy is really scary.
I'm so upset.
Did you say it to this lady?
He did.
That was when he pulled the plug on him.
She wasn't.
I thought he said it to the racer.
Wait,
Oh.
wait, him, right?
Yeah.
You don't know this though.
I don't know
Wait, what
this.
just
You
happened?
don't know.
So he just walked into Slick Henry's office, and she said, I can't remember exactly
It's
what
so
I said, but
liberating.
something to the effects of, "It's so liberating to know that in the end nothing matters."
And
And she leans forward.
Yeah, she just looks half dead.
Her
And
pupils
gross.
have been replaced by the symbol of, like,
Forbidden
Forbidden.
lore.
yeah.
What?
This is
Like
the woman.
symbol?
This is the woman in it. Yeah.
Like it's just like a black symbol?
Actually, it's a faintly glowing purple one, but yes.
Okay.
Hey, at least she's alive.
Wait. I did see the
she's
symbol
alive.
before,
Yes,
right?
she's
When
Yes,
alive.
you did. You did.
Debatable.
Because you got
It's
into the
debatable
vault,
if
he
she's
translated it for you. You know, that's why I told you.
At least she's
It's
alive.
a deep speech symbol.
Okay.
It's also debatable if he's alive. Okay.
That mouse folk lady.
Which one? The one he healed?
You saved
Oh,
her.
you said you did save her then. Okay.
My hands are clean.
But you see, we as players may now know.
I have
Our
nothing
players
to do
are
with this.
oblivious.
Yeah.
This is great.
Because you don't know about this stuff.
This is horrific.
You vanished before when the conversation happened with the man in
So I
But
just
anyway.
walked into something that's like, what is going on?
Anyway, she says, "So Vice, what can I do to help you?" "Maybe I won't. I don't know. Like I said, it's so refreshing."
Well, okay, I came here. Want to ask initially if you felt unsafe or if anything unsafe was lurking around. But seeing you now, it seems like
Unsafe. I feel like I could conquer a nation. Might take me a decade or two.
we're acting a little strange here.
The thing is, I realize I may be acting a little strange to you, but now that I understand this, it's a wonder that I ever didn't act like this. Maybe someday you'll know like I do, and then you'll realize it's everybody else that's acting strange.
That is.
Let in the kobold! Okay, we're back. Okay. Culture. We're going to do you really quick, then hop back over to Vice, because Vice was in the middle of something. That first night, you're going to be sleeping like a baby, and then you're going to get nudged by a message.
What? I will use speak with animals.
Someone has gone into the lower, and they are beating things.
Someone we know?
The one who is master of this place.
Where are we?
You're at the Full
It's the
Rat's
middle,
Inn.
yeah, you're in the middle of the night. Remember the place where we went and ate crappy soup?
Okay. Alright. Let's go. I'll grab my stuff. You head down there. I'll meet you there.
Okay, so we've kind of already established the canon of these events. Because you weren't here for this, and this is the first night. But basically, you go down, and you can see that the inn, and you're pretty sneaky because Vanya didn't hear you go down. And you get down there, and you hear like some cussing and muttering, and the occasional smacking of something like wet impacts with a club, sort of a thing. And you hear like some skittering, some hissing occasionally, and then after a little bit, the muttering and cursing comes closer, and the shady innkeeper pops back up through a trapdoor behind the bar, and shuts it, locks it, and looks like she wanders off to her bed.
Okay, I'm gonna go over there and try to pick the lock, I guess.
Okay.
Oh, I don't have thieves' tools. I guess I can't then, huh?
You can try and improvise some tools, but you'll be doing this at disadvantage, and the DC will be higher.
Yes.
With the cookies in, if you would.
Oh yeah.
And I would guess that probably there's not like dirt there, just wood, right?
Yes.
Okay.
You would imagine that it's probably a dirt floor in the cellar once you get down there, but you're not there yet.
Okay, I'm gonna cast guidance on myself then,
Okay.
and then I will try. You said at disadvantage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the same base, but the night before. Timey-wimey.
Holy crap. 14 and 18 were the two rolls that I got there.
For a total of?
Let me check. Let's see. I guess it's adding my dexterity modifier, right?
Plus your proficiency, if you are proficient.
Okay, I am not. So 14 plus 4 for my dex, plus 4 for my guidance.
So you
22
mess
or
with it, but the bent fork you are using is insufficient to the task, I'm afraid.
Wow.
The DC of not being proficient plus not having the proper tools made this hard.
Gosh dang it.
You didn't miss it by a lot, but you did miss it.
Okay.
And this isn't me being arbitrary. I did establish the DC.
That's fine.
You look down at this mangled fork and you're like, geez, I don't know how to pick a lock.
Honestly, I guess I'll go back to bed at this
Okay.
point.
Cool, because that doesn't interfere with the existing timeline. So you go back to bed. Back to Vice.
Okay.
Use your credit card.
So as we're
Stuff you beat out of
talking,
down there?
Somebody
It's
else.
like
Probably
Slick's
done
still
that
like
shot.
back up in the chair, feet up.
She's leaning forward with a manic gleam in her creepy eyes.
Okay. I'm gonna look and be like, maybe you're right. Maybe nothing does matter. I think I've changed my mind. I intend to slowly back out and leave.
And she says, oh, don't be scared. There's no reason to be scared. We're still old friends.
Really?
Of course.
Does our profession matter to you?
Well, I mean, to be honest, even when I was involved in it and before I had my revelation, it didn't really matter. It was just a means to an end. The relationships formed, of course, they mattered. But the profession itself, again, means to an end.
Interesting. Well, what can you tell me about Night Eye?
Night Eye, shifty fella. Worked with you more than with me. Had that little hidey hole over in the booze quarter with that underground waterway, right? I think he's a shaman for that. The Shatterhole clan, I think they call themselves. I mean, you know him better than me. Why are you asking me?
Just trying to locate this point in time.
Is he not at his safe house?
Not for the time being, but I figured, rather sooner than later to see him is what I need to do.
Fair enough. Let me think. I know the Shadowholes keep a ship anchored over a sunken hulk where they raise their young out in the bay. You hear that?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe you could check there. At the very least, they may have some knowledge of his doings. Also, I think there's some enchanter in the darker sides of town, specializes in making things that hurt other people. I'm pretty sure he's got some sort of connection to the Shadowhole as well.
What was his name?
I don't remember. He runs a place really catchy alliteration name. It started with a W. Wisdom. Wishbone
Wishbone?
Wonders. That's what it was called.
I just remembered that, right? So you
Yeah.
were saying it. It's like, wait a minute, there's Wishbone something. Alright. I think that's all the information I needed. It's just been a long time since,
It has been a little while since you've been in town. I'm surprised you didn't connect with him sooner.
yeah, I was a little slow to that. Perhaps next time not.
Fair enough.
Alright.
It's so interesting. Ever since the race, I feel like there's almost a storm on the horizon. Then again, who knows?
Why
Well, if I need anything else from you, Slim, I know where to find you.
Indeed you do, at least for the moment. I'd recommend, if you need me, get in contact the next day or so. I feel like I may be planning a move. Okay. Then as she leans back, she says, "Fair travels," and looks down. Well, doesn't look at you. Kind of stares off into the distance, and then you hear in your head, "And fresh horizons to you," but her lips don't move, and you're not sure she noticed.
Fresh horizons to you.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm gonna be like, I'm just gonna turn around and walk out. And then
As you step out, she's humming a jaunty sea shanty to herself, but just something seems off about it.
Alright. I am just walking away, scratching my head, like
Consequences to actions are wonderful.
wondering what in the world, what kind of counter that was. Anyways,
But slightly cursed.
Yay, consequences.
I would. I want to go find Zotan.
Okay, so you start heading back to the safe house. At that point, we're going to jump over to Colcrill. Next morning, you wake up, and you come down the stairs just to see Vanya descending down the trapdoor, a great sword in hand. The innkeeper gesturing like, "Go ahead."
I'm gonna follow him because
Okay.
that seems sketch as crap.
Okay, so she closes the door behind him as you're coming down, and then padlocks it, and then you come walking up.
Hey, you just locked my friend down there. If you don't mind, I'm gonna go down there.
She's
and,
like, "Oh, your friend? I thought he was here alone. That's my bad. Can I get you something for breakfast?"
You can give me that key, or you'll be breakfast. Message. I'm gonna have message charge him.
Her and
Her.
okay, okay. Like actually to attack or grapple or what?
Of course, she just locked him in the cellar, and then like tried to distract me.
Okay. As message comes rushing forward, just give me an intimidation check with advantage.
Okay. Using my stuff or messages?
Whichever you prefer.
I'll use messages because that seems appropriate. Plus 0 charisma. You said with advantage?
With advantage. This is definitely an intimidating situation.
Oh.
6.
Okay, so she doesn't seem terribly intimidated, but as she dives out of the way of message, she says, "All right, what, fine," and it goes over. She doesn't seem intimidated by you, more just like trying to get you off her back. As she goes over and starts fiddling with the lock. It takes her a minute or so, long enough to justify him walking over and having a conversation and not messing with the timeline, and then she gets the lock open and says, "Hey down there, you alright?"
That's what I heard before.
Expected a little more noise, kind of quiet down there, and then Colquill.
You still hear Vanya say, what did I say? There's a lot of rats or something?
One of them's talking
One
to
of
me.
them speaks.
And she said, "Oh, she gives you kind of a nervous look. The rats get pretty crazy around here." And then she's like, gestures like, "Go ahead, go down."
I'm gonna turn to message and I'm gonna say, you stay out here. If anything weird happens, Take her down and go get everyone else.
And then message just turns
I'm just
to
gonna be
her,
like,
and she's like, "It's a big ant."
and I go down in there.
Message gives you a confused glance, and then realizes you were doing it for her benefit, and then turns back.
It's gonna be great.
Does she lock me in there too?
Okay, you notice you hear like the latch being dropped, and then you hear aggressive movement above you, and then you don't hear the padlock click.
Okay.
Okay.
Alright, what do I see? Is
So-
it big enough for me to fly, or do I have to
Yes,
walk?
it is. This is actually pretty spacious for a cellar. It's got like a good 9-10 foot clearance.
Okay. I will glide till I find Vanya as high as I can.
So Vanya's at the edge of this room. This room is filled with a mixture of shelves and those big ton wine casks, the really big ones, the origin of the word ton. And Vanya's standing at the other end with kind of a crazed look in his face. He's got what was an eye wrap that was over his eyes, around his neck. He has a burning torch in one hand and a great sword
No,
in the
the
other.
burning torch is on the
Okay,
ground
never
in front
mind.
of me.
He has a great sword in one hand. He's holding a door open, but like he's ready to slam it. And you see pinpricks of eyes in the darkness around, behind the torches, past the torch rather. And he's standing at the door, and you hear hissing noises going on the other side.
Do I notice culprit?
Yeah, you notice.
What nonsense is this? What's going on here? Why'd you get locked in a basement?
We are cleaning the room for food. They're going. She said 3 food for a week if we clean out the basement.
Room and board.
Room and board. I think we'll ask for more afterwards.
Yeah, was locking you in here part of that deal?
No, but doors aren't usually a problem.
I guess.
It is true. You have seen him splinter much sturdier doors than that trapdoor.
Anyway,
Alright, well,
he doesn't speak common well. We negotiate or negotiate.
you trying to negotiate with the rat?
I mean, he speak. Hello.
Grab my notes here again. My bad.
Yoo-hoo.
Big basement blowout.
They're coming.
There we go. Fabricio.